going to be, and it's going to be Route 66 yet again. So nothing too surprising coming through here. And, you know, this is actually the same exact map pool that we saw earlier on when you and I were casting Wolf. So we're just going to go straight down the line. Denmark selecting this one for themselves.
And that's basically going to kind of let us know is the maps these teams are feeling right now. It'll be the first map choice for Norway. And this is the second time we've seen a team take a map when the series started to look a little bit snowballing, but maybe we have our first 2-2 tonight as well. Yeah,
would be a nice little change of pace here to see that 2-2 come through, have Thailand and Denmark starting off on an even foot. And I want to see what Denmark is going to bring to the table here, both on attack and defense, because again, like we saw during Norway's match, this is one of the ones that you can change up. You can go for some different plays. We saw the Zarya and the Reinhardt. Admittedly didn't work out for Norway, but Route 66 is a bit more forgiving when it comes down to that flexibility in your hero pool.
And like DDX for Argentina tried to make the Sombra work, we could potentially see Sombra play again out of Oputo, albeit this is not the map we normally see attack Sombra. DDX ran it there and tried to make it successful, but we'll see if that's the route they want to take here, because we've seen Thailand kind of switch their players on different roles on different heroes, with Oputo swapping between the Genji, then going into the Reaper, then at the end of the day, Sombra. We've seen the swaps from Mickey onto the Soldier, onto the Diva, but it seems like the 6-man with the hero selection that's been most successful is the one we saw on Horizon, and maybe they'll just stick with it here on this map as we head into Route 66.
And already, I mean, look at this
attack
composition. Attack Bastion with a Reinhardt and a Zarya. So Denmark really changing things up here. Craggy immediately trying to drop down into that sentry form to get the pick in onto NZR, but going to be a bit too difficult, a bit too elusive there on that Tracer. Instead, just going to posture up on top of the payload where he has nerfed here to defend him, and they actually get NZR in the end. He pokes his head out just a bit too far, and he gets taken down. Now the lead bin from Tidawat mid-air will be killed. Mickey as well, the Bastion ripping through everybody on top of the payload, and Denmark are just gonna keep on trucking.
When you have this much support for Craggy as well, diving in like that can be a bit suicidal, as he had complete reaction time there to deal with those heroes that were coming in. So perhaps a different way to deal with this may be required for Thailand, but again, surprise, surprise, Bastion comes out. Thailand doesn't have the answer. This looks like basically a free checkpoint now for Denmark.
Well, Puto's going to be doing his damage to try to stop this one. 100% there on
EMP.
That. EMP does have it ready to go. Will drop these barriers, throws it out, and Craggy's going to die immediately. So they do break this, but now they need to function entirely around EMPs. We'll see if Denmark can answer back. They lose several members as Lin does go down. Krydok's trying to retreat, but is going to get cut off by Oputo. It's now already back up to about 45% because Sombra is fun.
You have to think that we're going to see switches from Denmark, but probably after we see Configuration Tank and after we see the Graviton Surge. So once they put down those two very powerful ultimates, perhaps used in conjunction with each other to try to grab that checkpoint, we'll see the switch off, but they have one more opportunity to make this work. But if it fails and Thailand holds here, they will have a massive advantage, and Oputo's halfway towards that EMP. Could be the ruining factor for Denmark as they try to make this happen. Krydok's has 100% now, but it looks like Craggy's already switched off. Not even going to try that tank.
Where he gets his way into the back line, and that's going to be the Graviton Surge coming through as Kurlos, the first one that falls. Panty's following very swiftly after, so both supports from the side of Thailand have been taken out, but still the kills are coming through as NCNR just gets rid of the tanky front line of Denmark. Tidawat now with that Primal Rage pop will smack down the enemy Tracer. Fisher getting jumped on as well. And Denmark, I mean, they put so much into that initial push, they got pretty far, but the EMP upsets everything. And on their return, not having those ultimates because they had to swap around so much, they get punished heavily, and now the clock is draining, getting closer and closer to a minute remains.
This is the hardest part to push to. You have the longest run back from spawn now on attack at this stage. 90 seconds left. This could come back to bite, and this could backfire. Mickey and Oputo having these important ultimates now. See if Kellex can drop the sound barrier to make this happen. Krydok's nowhere near a Dragon Blade, though, like you said, because of the switch.
Well, there you go. That's going to be the big one. They immediately drop the sound barrier, seeing that Sombra go down. So Oputo is going to be the opening here that Denmark desperately needs to try to get this payload moving. But even then, they're still struggling a little bit because Krydok's is going to go down. Mickey has his self-destruct ready to go. Could throw this onto the payload to just keep everybody's own back yet again. NZNR pulse bomb gets rid of Nerf, and Mickey is still just going forward, trying to get rid of these DPS members of Denmark. Nearly is able to do that for Fisher. Throws out the self-destruct, won't find a pick.
Okay, Mickey doesn't have the self-destruct anymore, though, because he used it just to remech. So that's one unfortunate thing for Thailand, but they're still holding strong. And Denmark, Krytok still so far away from the Dragon Blade. They need it. Transcends is ready. They might use that to try to force the Dragon Blade.
I mean, it's 40 seconds left on the clock just about here. Thailand still have the EMP ready to go, can build up, have a nano booster that can throw onto the likes of Tinawan.
Here comes Aputo. This EMP could be everything if they stop the Transcends from coming down.
Doesn't want to use it yet. That's just going to be Transcendence. As soon as Lin saw him, just popped it out, rushes over to the payload, and now Aputo can use it immediately as that expires.
Oh, there goes a really good one too. Nerf can't use his Primal Rage. He's denied here. And now only 10 seconds left for Denmark. Everybody's dying.
This is going to be a massive opening here, Thailand, that they want to take advantage of. They want to have that second win. They want the 2-2 record to finish out the day. Craggy trying to buy some time, throws out that pulse bomb as Mickey goes straight up into the air. Will get knocked out of his mech, but they still fire back. They get rid of Craggy, and Denmark is in full overtime mode. Have to stick to this payload. Desperately need to get this cap, but the pulse bomb is there from NZNR. Follows up with the double kill as Nerf does go down, and NZNR has been popping off these last two maps. Will get taken down in the end by Kelix as Denmark desperately tries to get this, pushing Fisher with the sound barrier, pushing and looking to take out Kurlos. Can't quite find the sight lines to get him. Now firing away into Mickey, who's just buying as much time as he possibly can. Will get knocked out. The payload starting to move forward, but still, it's going to be Thailand desperately trying to hold this down. But with those kills coming through, Kurlos and Panties both falling, that will be the completion. Almost. 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock is all that Denmark has, and Thailand, they are fighting tooth and nail.
Almost the full hold there, so close. And it was really well done by Denmark. You have to give almost Denmark more credit to actually still get those picks in the chaos with the EMPs coming down. Fisher held on to that attack visor the entire time. He's still got available. Thailand using so many resources to try to all in that, so a decent push right afterwards. As they do get through this important gateway, this doorway, I should say.
Well, they're trying to poke their way in, but the gate's going to be shutting, so now they have to go through the chokeholds. Or up around the mountain ridge, whichever they decide on. But hacked health pack forward already established there for Aputo. Multiple ultimates available here for Thailand. And you can see one going to be used right now. Sidawat does pop out on that Primal Rage. Has Fisher contained into a corner, but the heals are still coming through. Now the EMP thrown down. And they have to sprint backwards, and that self-destruct is coming through.
Unfortunately, no pairing with the EMP. Mickey does come in here to deny the last part of that attack visor, but it already did the work, and Nerf is the one who's able to get the kills.
I mean, Thailand, they've been investing. They invested almost everything other than that nano boost there from Kurlos, and they buy a little bit of time off of the bank, so not going to be
if they have
the worst investment, but still want to be able to deny this pick. So rather than kind of throw every single ultimate at them, maybe could have spaced it out a little.
If they were able to, in that choke point, make the EMP, get the kills there, and actually get the full wipe, that might have been able to give them the extra bit of momentum to shut this down, prevent the second checkpoint, because they used so many though, and they failed. Now Denmark has an ult advantage, and they're going to try to use it to grab the second checkpoint. Tinawan though eats the nano. That's what they were holding on to, the last ult they had.
And I mean, they killed Krytox as soon as he used the Dragon Blade, so now Denmark is going to be without that to get those, major multiple kills coming through on the next team fight. It's just 35 seconds remaining. He's not going to have enough time to build up another one unless they can delay like they did on point A. But right now, Thailand having control. Should be able to build up for another EMP very rapidly here from Aputo. Might not get the chance to do that for the Genji. Craggy going low, has to force out on the recall. Nearly has the pulse bomb ready to go, but the hack comes through. Will be denying that ultimate, but Aputo does fall 65%, so the EMP going to be very delayed here for Thailand.
Mickey, if he goes down here, that's going to be so huge. He needs to buy time to get that self-destruct, to buy this, to stop this second checkpoint. Does survive for now.
Sound barrier down here from Denmark. Payload still moving forward. The leap in coming through here from Tinawan on the backside. Will pop that Primal Rage, just trying to smack everybody away, keep him off that payload, so the overtime can tick down. But you can see Denmark still are coming out on top as Krytox dashes through, gets rid of NZNR. Panties falling yet again, and Tinawan is able to answer one here onto Craggy. A big delay tactic, but Mickey's the only one right now trying to stop Kelix.
Here comes the EMP, but it feels like too little too late. Aputo finally taken down.
There's nobody else there to capitalize on top of that one, and now Fisher is going to be having that attack visor ready to go to continue this push. Just in front of B contention. Now coming through from Thailand, the sound barrier thrown down. Fisher will be popping the attack visor, but has to chew through those shields first and foremost. Drops onto the low ground, gets the Helix rockets on the NZNR, but now he's slept out. But have they been able to follow up the kill? The answer is no. They find Kurlos, they find Panties, and it seems like Denmark will be able to complete this one if Craggy can just land his pulse bomb. Won't find the hit in onto Mickey. The zone out will be coming through from that self-destruct. Finds the kill onto Kelix, but that's about it. The rest of the team was pushing through. Mickey couldn't get back into the back in time to contest that one.
Yeah,
and Denmark, they get a little bit more on that bank.
I feel like Thailand is over-investing ultimates to stop checkpoints. They got a little bit trigger-happy, thought they could get the full hold, and on the second checkpoint, it ended up being the same story. It worked for them on Horizon, but now when they use all these ultimates, Denmark kind of has this lead to continue to push afterwards. In this case, now when you look at everything stepping away, it's still pretty even, but they definitely could have had more tools here to stop the completion on the side of Denmark, had they been a little bit more conservative.
Denmark now going to be looking for that point C. Less than a minute here on the clock and haven't been able to move the payload too much yet. They're throwing down the bubble, trying to keep himself alive, gets the heals coming through, but has to back off a bit there. Doesn't want to fall down, wants to keep building up, poking out, trying to get that primal rage. Sound barrier is thrown down here by Denmark. They want to go ahead and take this fight, but Mickey is going to finish off Nerf. The EMP does come through here for the side of Thailand. And that should just be the peel back from Denmark. Seems like they will be going back to the spawn as quickly as they can, but several members do get taken out on the exchange. So Craggy and Lind, a bit of a stagger onto these guys with 25 seconds remaining.
They have so much to work with here for the next follow-up, though. They have the tac visor if they can get to position. Nerf can use that primal rage to make it happen. Knocking Mickey out of the mech is going to be difficult because he has a remech with that self-destruct. Here we go. Krytox needs to be the hero.
Well, Nana Boo's thrown down here onto Tito, just trying to build up for that primal rage as quickly as he possibly can, but Nerf has his ready to go. He's just smacking him around, and Fisher has helped come up with 2 kills as Panties and NZNR have both gone down. Tito leaping back in, will get sniped out of the air by Fisher, and Denmark are just going to keep the hopes alive at the moment. 5 members standing strong on top of the payload, just waiting for it to move. The contention from Thailand has still been very strong, but now that Mickey is knocked out of the mech, they might be able to create some distance for themselves.
So much patience on the side of Denmark, holding on to these ults to the last second because they're in overtime, and if they overextend with their ultimates, they won't be able to finish this one out. They're playing greedy, but it's working out for them. They were able to get so many picks there without the ultimates, and so they're going to have that Dragon Blade, and they have Nano. If they can get the sound barrier, they'll have all 3. Looks like they're going to use it early here.
Yeah, they're going ahead. They toss this one out. Krytox going forward, looking for the cut through, but the sound barriers are thrown down immediately there from Thailand, just trying to deny all that damage. It seems like it did a pretty good job. NZNR picking up one on the Craggy. Nerf goes down as well. Things looking relatively good here for this side of Thailand as they seek to hold this one in overtime. Most of the team from Denmark has fallen, and the clock is really only being delayed very slightly by Krytox, but there you go. He falls, and immediately the overtime meter does drop, but Denmark, you know, went for a very bizarre start that they did not work out, and it seemed like maybe they would get punished. Maybe a full hold would be there for Thailand, you know, from Thailand, but they're able to get it in overtime twice.
So they just barely were able to get that, as you said, in overtime twice. The idea with that Bastion is you can surprise Thailand, you grab the first checkpoint, then you've got configuration tank and the Graviton Surge to use to get through that choke point, right? Push a little bit further. But because they got stopped short, they didn't even use configuration tank. They swapped it out immediately. But really, this is the roster with the Apudo on the Sombra, Mickey on the Diva. This is the way I want to see Thailand play, perhaps the rest of this group stage, because it's been what they've been most successful with there. You have to give Denmark credit for their patience there, pushing it as far as they could in overtime. And they could have pressed the panic ultimate buttons early. We could have seen Krytox drop the Dragon Blade out earlier, waited until the last second. Still Thailand prevailed, but they really wanted that completion. Either way, this is going to be a fiery round for Thailand on attack. As this series started off, looked like it was going to be Denmark favored, but it is definitely a lot closer now in these last 2 maps.
It certainly is. Seems like Thailand have just come online since Lunar Colony.
And I think it comes back to Apudo on the Sombra. He's much more successful here than he was on the Genji, than he was on the Reaper.
Again, it's like we saw from Mui earlier on. You swap over to the Sombra, and suddenly you can just make these, you know, these game-breaking plays with that EMP. It's just so very strong at the moment. So we'll be sticking with it yet again by the look of things. Mickey, of course, not going to be operating over onto that Widowmaker on attack. We'll be going back to his favorite little diva, likely after he fires this Sonic Arrow to try to scout out where Denmark is playing defensively.
And Denmark is sticking with what they know. Lind is going to be the only swap here really onto the Ana. He's been playing both. Obviously, he's more known for his Ana than his Zenyatta. And Apudo's going to stick with the attack Sombra here. We'll try to make this happen, swinging around the backside. Fortunately, doesn't really find anything this time. It's actually Kurlos the first to die.
Just firing into that bubble, and yeah, Kurlos getting taken out. Gonna be a nice little pick off here so far for the side of Denmark, halting that Transcendence from being built up. Apudo's still just trying to poke out where he can, build up desperately for that EMP. We'll have the hack. Get that faster 200 health pack here for his squad. But NZNR also going down. Is still just gonna be delaying things here, unfortunately for the side of Thailand, and would continue this push very swiftly.
So Krytox building up to that Dragon Blade. Fisher as well, his terrifying tac visors we've seen, you know, in this entire 4-map series. Aputo's actually going to get picked onto Nerf. That's going to give them a window of time. He drops the EMP.
Yeah, throws that one out. Aputo does toss it, and it seems like there's not going to be a whole lot of follow-up off the backside of that one, but it does create a lot of space here for Thailand. They do find a pick on the Lin right at the end, and now Krytox as he dashes in, just I think the last second contest, but
hyper-aggressive there. It's going to be a staggered respawn.
Yeah, he was bound to die, so he just goes down right there. And NZNR, very far forward, finds a pick here onto Fisher. So a crucial member that he did take out, but he himself has died. So not sure great of a trade that was going to be here for the side of Thailand overall. Nearly do have that point A, but now Krytox going in, has the Dragon Blade out, but immediate Transcendence does come through to try and deny. And Mark now also throwing out the sound barrier for themselves as they try to posture forward, retake control over this payload. It seems like they might just be able to do so with Kurlos going down. They lose out on the Lind. And Fisher with the high ground, firing away with the tac visor, looking to create a couple more picks. Mickey nearly gets popped out of the back. We'll just go ahead and throw out that self-destruct. Being smacked around is Tito. Can't quite knock him into that self-destruct, but will just be able to beat him to death. So does take down that soldier. And still, Denmark are holding on to the contention here over this payload.
Yeah, basically everybody used every ultimate. You know, EMP is ready here for Aputo, but all resources gone for both teams now as they are just trying to force this into the checkpoint. Denmark is buying so much time here. They need to, because if Thailand gets completion, they are done and the map will end. So they do end up eventually capturing this, but Denmark did eat through significant amounts of that time bank. But again, Aputo is making these EMPs look really good. Mickey remeching several times to buy time there to make sure they can get through that checkpoint. And it looks like that's kind of Mickey's way of operating on the D.Va today, just using the self-destructs to remech rather than trying to get kills or amazing picks. Even though we did see that great one from Aputo on Horizon.
Well, he scouts forward, doesn't find an opportunity to drop down that EMP, seeing if anybody from Denmark has changed up their composition. The answer is going to be no in that regard. So it does have that EMP still ready to go. NZNR getting picked off at the beginning of this push here as the gate does close. We'll be rejoining the squad, but losing out on Kurlos yet again. Stopping the Transcendence from being built up for a little bit longer, and also just buys that much more time. It's a game of seconds here, really, for Denmark. Need to try to chew it as much time off of that time bank as humanly possible to limit Thailand like Denmark were limited on their assault.
And I've been watching Krytox a lot here because when we watch his Dragon Blades come down, he doesn't necessarily need the support ultimate to be successful. He's just such a great Genji player that way. So even though when he holds it like this, it's very terrifying for Thailand, and they're probably going to look for the hacks when he does because he's just so strong when he does have it. EMP does go down here.
Comes through. There's going to be the Transcendence out here from Kurlos as well as they try to push forward. Hack coming down, and it's going to be Lind and Nerf both falling, but Fisher does find a kill here onto Kurlos. So a nice little answer, and Krytox with the Dragon Blade going forward, finds a kill as he dashes through onto Aputo, but the double hop kill coming out of Titowat takes out both, two of the DPS members rather here of Denmark, as Craggy is desperately trying to dash around, keep this payload locked into place. Is successful at the moment, but should be paying for this one with his life. Does go down right there. So, but still, a lot of time dragged off that bank there by Denmark.
To make a fool of me, Krytox this time he needed the support ultimates for that Dragon Blade. Shoes, I give him credit for it. He drops it down. It doesn't, and neither support ultimate is used to save him there, and he's actually punished for it. Aputo with a good EMP. So now Nerfed, of course, has this Primal Rage, wants to get mass damage before he uses it. There he goes.
And Krytox just firing away where he can, trying to break that mech there from Mickey. One last hit will do it. Dashes through, gets the kill onto the baby D.Va, and also makes it away from that self-destruct at the same time. Nerf jumping up onto that high ground, takes out Panties, takes out Kurlos, so both of those supporting members have been taken down, and Denmark will hold very firmly on this payload, just about halfway to point B.
We're starting to get to the point where this the runbacks for Thailand every time they do get staggered respawns are really long. Just before the checkpoint, it's always the hardest point. So their pushes now, their ultimates need to be a lot more careful how they use them. See if Aputo wants to drop this one down or look for a better opportunity.
Onto Craggy, he just goes down immediately. NZNR does find that kill. There's a coupling up, and Krytox also goes down. So two of the big DPS members here from the side of Denmark are suffering some deaths, and this could be a big opening for Thailand. EMP thrown in from Aputo as they try to clean up. Lin will fall, Nerfed going down as well, and the kills are just spilling over and over here for the side of Thailand. They will go ahead, get back onto that payload and keep things moving. Denmark should have enough time for another contest if they want to go for this one, but actually now that Krytox gets that pulse bomb, dashes through, will get taken out, and Titowat is just gatekeeping here with the Primal Rage, keeping everybody locked into the side rooms. That's just going to be the completion here for Thailand. 2 minutes 25 remaining on the clock. Need to go just in front of point C to pick pick up the win.
They have the support ultimates, but nothing to pair with them. Mickey doesn't have the self-destruct, so it's so important they got that checkpoint in that window of time where they're most vulnerable. So they got it now, but this next push is going to be the tough one. 2 minutes to go, and they're never going to have any more time bank with it than this.
Yeah, they already lose out on NZNR, so they're not going to be building up for those pulse bombs in the background, but Carlos does take out Craggy, so both of those tracers will be exchanged. That comes down as Nerf leaps over to the high ground, keeping himself alive at the moment, and that's going to be Thailand going through with the sound barriers. Krytox has that Dragon Blade available. Now getting jumped on the heels, not going to be enough from the side of Lynn Kellix to keep him alive. He goes down, NZNR pursuing deep with that hit, does take him out, and that's going to be Nerf going down as well. These Discord Orbs just helping to rip through the tanky members of Denmark, really just the one, as it's only nerfed here, and we will see Denmark trying to change things up as Krytox swaps off the Genji.
So it's a second Dragon Blade he totally failed with no support ultimates. Maybe they could buy enough time for him to get that Death Blossom, but Thailand is pushing this all the way home. They can close this out.
It's dangerously close. It's going to be the EMP thrown in with the self-destruct. Can they find the picks? It's going to be Craggy going down first and foremost, but now it's Fisher answering with that nano visor, firing away, but everybody just goes straight into his face. Pulse bomb coming down, not going to find the pick, but Mickey chasing in with NZNR will be able to finish him off, and it's still just a couple meters. All that Thailand need to make this a 2-2 series.
Denmark.
NZNR, so far untargeted, will not be threatened really in the backside, just firing away, building up for another pulse bomb to try to change away the fight. But Tinawan firing away with the Primal Rage, finds 2 kills. Kellix going down as well. The payload just moving in. Fisher barely tags in time. The poop not going to be enough to make him off with the contention, but he is going to die, and that is going to be it. In the end, Thailand able to complete the map. 45 seconds remaining for these guys, and they make it 2-2. Say, no, we will not go down 0-4. We will tie you up, Denmark. We will give us our first 2-2 scoreline of the day. So they will remain competitive in this group.
They got that checkpoint. Thailand got that checkpoint where they were most vulnerable, right? They used all their ultimates to grab the checkpoint. They gave them another sign of life there to push through. And unfortunately for Denmark, when anyone got picked there, we saw several times Krytox trying to drop down the Dragon Blade. Twice he failed. The support ultimates weren't useful for anything there. He made the desperation switch to the Reaper. They couldn't buy time. And because they didn't have a Diva, they didn't have a self-destruct, there was no way at that moment to buy time for the Reaper to get the Death Blossom. The support ultimates just didn't feel all that useful. When the EMPs come in, there's just no way to capitalize. They needed their abilities. They didn't have any ways of buying time. We saw Fisher at the last second switch to the Diva, didn't have the self-destruct, got pushed away there, got hacked, and wow, 2-2, our first of the night, as you said, in our last series. It was a fiery one to close this one out, but Thailand, they started off shaky, started off weak, but I really feel like they found their footing. They found the right heroes to play. Mickey bringing back the Diva, and Apudo on the Sombra. That seems to be the hero to watch out for on this Thai player.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes this group that much more exciting, having this level of competition. I mean, Argentina giving Rogue a run for their money was an 0-4 loss for them, but it was a competitive set. But now the Thai coming through here, not even the joke, the pun that I was trying to make, but the 2-2 as Thailand is able to get those final 2 maps. So excellently done by these guys. They put some points on the board for them, and they will just remain even so far with Denmark, but that could change very quickly. Yeah. We have 2 more days of games coming up.
That's right. So, the big question for Norway, of course, is will they change up their comps, because they were pretty rigid there in this 4-game series. But looks like we're going to throw it back over to the desk to see what they thought about that game.